Hi, boys and girls. It's Miss Bucaj. I'm here to do a read aloud with you today. The title of the book I'm reading is Tacky the Penguin. It's written by Helen Lester and it's illustrated by Lynn Munsinger. Before I start reading the story with you, I want to review some vocabulary. The first word I want to review is tacky. Tacky means you're not a fancy dresser and you don't have good taste in clothes. Think back to when we were in school and we would have wacky tacky day. Everyone came in all dressed crazy. That's what it means to be tacky. The next word is companion. Companion means a person or animal you spend time with or you enjoy being with. The next word is odd. Odd means strange or unusual, different from what is normal or expected. You see here, we've got 5 penguins that look like normal penguins and what we expect them to look like. Then over here at the end, we have a penguin that looks really different. He's a little strange or unusual. He's the one that's a little odd. The next word is chanting. Chanting means to say a word or phrase many times in a rhythmic way, usually loudly and with other people. And the card says, the best baseball chant ever. Let's go Yankees. That's an example of a chant. So boys and girls, while I'm reading the story to you today, I want you to think about the plot. The plot means what's going on in the story. It's a way of retelling a book, and you can think about it in sections, the beginning, the middle, and the end. Good readers remember the details in a book as they are reading. The details help you retell the book. Think about the book in these parts. In the beginning, you're going to think about who are the characters and where is this story taking place. In the middle, you're going to think about what's happening to the characters. Is there a problem? At the end, you're going to think about, did the problem get solved? How are the characters different at the end of the story? Okay, boys and girls, we are going to read our story next. I'm getting there. All right, here is our story today. It's Tacky the Penguin. Tacky's perfect friends find him annoying until his odd behavior saves the day. There once lived a penguin. His home was a nice, icy land he shared with his companions. His companions were named Goodly, Lovely, Angel, Neatly, and Perfect. His name was Tacky. Tacky was an odd bird. Every day, Goodly, Lovely, Angel, Neatly, and Perfect greeted each other quietly and politely. Tacky greeted them with a hearty slap on the back and a loud, "What's happening?" Goodly, Lovely, Angel, Neatly, and Perfect always marched 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Tacky always marched 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 6, 0, 2.5, 0. I'm noticing that these penguins all seem to be very alike and do things exactly the same. And then I noticed Tacky kind of does things differently, a little bit odd. His companions were graceful divers. Tacky liked to do splashy cannonballs. I see Tacky having a lot of fun, but then I'm looking at the other penguins' faces. I'm not so sure if they're enjoying the way Tacky is acting. Not so sure if they like his odd behavior. Goodly, Lovely, Angel, Neatly, and Perfect always sang pretty songs like Sunrise on the iceberg. Tacky always sang songs like, "How many toes does a fish have?" Tacky was an odd bird. Boys and girls, stop for a second and tell the person that's reading the story with you. Do you think the penguins like hanging out with Tacky? Do they like him as a companion? Hmm. Okay, let's keep reading. One day, the penguins heard the thump, thump, thump of feet in the distance. This could only mean one thing: hunters had come. They came with maps and traps and rocks and locks, and they were rough and tough. As the thump, thump, thump drew closer, the penguins could hear the growly voices chanting, "We're gonna catch some pretty penguins, and we'll march 'em with the switch, and we'll sell 'em for $1 and get rich, rich, rich." Boys and girls, do you think we've discovered our problem in this story? Okay. Goodly, lovely, angel, neatly and perfect ran away in fright. They hid behind a block of ice. Tacky stood alone. The hunters marched right up to him, chanting, "We're gonna catch some pretty penguins, and we'll march 'em with the switch, and we'll sell 'em for $1 and get rich, rich, rich." "What's happening?" blared Tacky, giving one hunter an especially hearty slap on the back. They growled, "We're hunting for penguins. That's what's happening." "Penguins?" said Tacky. "Do you mean those birds that marched neatly in a row?" And he marched. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 6, 0, 2.5, 0. The hunters looked puzzled. "Do you mean those birds that dive so gracefully?" Tacky asked. And he did a splashy cannonball. The hunters looked wet. "Do you mean those birds that sing such pretty songs?" Tacky began to sing, and from behind the block of ice came the voices of his companions, all singing as loudly and dreadfully as they could. "How many toes does a fish have? And how many wings on a cow? I wonder, yep, I wonder." The hunters could not stand the horrible singing. This could not be the land of the pretty penguins. They ran away with their hands clasped tightly over their ears, leaving behind their maps and traps and rocks and locks, and not looking at all rough and tough. Goodly, lovely, angel, neatly and perfect hugged Tacky. Tacky was an odd bird, but a very nice bird to have around. Okay, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed the story. And we're going to go back to our slide. Okay, now that we've finished the story, I want you to think about, what happened in the beginning? Who are the characters? Where is this story taking place? I want you to think about what happened in the middle. What happened to the characters? What was the problem? There definitely was a problem in this story. Then I want you to think about the end. How did the problem get solved? How are the characters different at the end of the story? Boys and girls, before we finish the story, I want to go over one more thing about this book, because this was actually the reason I also chose this book. In this book, I want us to think about the author's message. This means, what do you think the author wanted us to learn from this book? Let's think about how the penguins felt about Tacky at the beginning of the story. Take a minute and think about how they treated him at the beginning and how they felt about him. Can you tell someone that's listening to the story with you? At the beginning, the penguins kind of weren't too impressed with Tacky. They felt he was odd, he was different, and pretty annoying with the way he was singing and with his cannonballs. What do you think the penguins learned at the end of the story? Think about how Tacky helped them at the end. What did you learn about friendship? Does everybody have to be exactly like each other to be friends? Or can we be a little bit different but still be friends? Let's think about that. Boys and girls, I enjoyed reading this story with you again today. I will be reading more books with you. Have a good night.